Do you know what? I even pressed the mute button before we started, but there you go. So, let's try that again. What is up, my friends? You are all very welcome along. I hope that you're enjoying the day so far. We're going to be talking about Jordan Henderson's Saudi Arabian exit to Ajax. We're going to be chatting about the transfer window in general and why Premier League clubs aren't spending that much money. A little look at Bobby Firmino's situation and a couple of other bits and pieces as well. Do you know what's mad? I knew I was on mute, right? But I thought I pressed it. My finger went to press the button, but obviously my finger's not as fat as I thought it was, and it didn't hit the mute button. So, yes, apologies on that one. So, yeah, how are we? That wasn't even a joke. Like, sometimes I do these things to just wind people up and pretend I'm on mute, but no, that was just me being dumb again. So, yeah, appreciate you all. Do you know what though? I always wonder why is the chat going so quick? Oh my god, people are flying in here, and then you just look and it's like mute, 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 mute. You're a dumb fuck. So yeah, I hope you're all well. Yeah. So look, we'll talk about the Hendo stuff, and I seen somebody in the chat ask why is it embarrassing to leave. It's not that he's leaving. That's not really the embarrassing part. It's that he's leaving, having to take such a massive pay cut, having to basically go in person to the officials of the club to just try and find a way to get him out of Saudi and back to Europe to play football. So it's nothing to do with Saudi and the embarrassing part. That's certainly not what we meant by it anyway. We're going to talk about some Liverpool, well, the numbers from Liverpool's academy, how much Liverpool have brought in over the past few years and where that puts them compared to other Premier League and European clubs. Douglas Luiz, the rumours are going around again, and I love the way they credit lots of people to go, this website said Douglas Luiz 100 million exclusive. I've been saying that for a month. So, and it wasn't exclusive when I said it, because I certainly don't have that information to know it, but I heard it a month ago. So yeah, there's no real insight on that one, but yeah, Douglas Luiz 100 million quid. Come on now. Come on. Nobody paid no 100 million quid for Douglas Luiz. As good a player as he is. We'll also be asking you guys how you feel knowing that for the Bournemouth game on Sunday, we got away with it with the referee and the linos. But guess who's on VAR? That's right. Your favourite Baldy, Mr. Paul Tierney, is going to be on VAR for the game against Bournemouth. So think of it as starting the game -1. That's certainly how I feel when I know Tierney's involved in any way, shape or form. You're just wondering, what decision is going to go against us this week? Was Robbo in training today? Well, I doubt it, considering he was in Dubai yesterday. So I don't think so, but maybe. Maybe those pictures that Robbo released weren't actually from yesterday, but he is back running on pitches and doing bits, so that's good news. Whether it's, I guess it doesn't really matter whether it's a Kirby or whether it's over in Dubai, at least he's upping his rehab a little bit. Love you, Craig. Keep it up. Thank you, Tyler. You're very kind, my man. Love all the positivity in the chat. Anfield Agenda clips, yes, it's our new baby, and I hope you guys are enjoying it, because it's doing pretty well over the past few weeks since we've relaunched it. The clips channel's absolutely flying, so thank you to everybody who's given it a watch and subbing. I enjoy these 4 p.m. streams because it's nice and quiet, and we can have some proper chats. Howard will admit that Tierney's shocking decision a few months later, it's all okay. Well, I would call you Nostradamus, you cool, but you're probably spot on, mate, you know? You are probably spot on. We'll hear him and Michael Owen talking about why they got it wrong and whoops, these lessons will be learned and all this type of stuff, but that's not really going to be any good to us, is it? Maybe I'm being pessimistic about it. Maybe nothing will happen on Sunday. And maybe, you know what, I'd be happy to be wrong. Very happy to be wrong. Front 3 at the weekend. So, here's my front 3. Feel free to let me know how you feel. I would put Diaz on the right. I will put Darwin on the left. And I would put either Gakpo or Jota through the centre. I actually don't mind which. Whether it's Cody or Diogo. Probably, if you're pushing me, I'd probably start with Diogo. And see if we need to bring Cody off the bench to win it or whatever. But that will be my front 3. But I'm equally as happy if Gakpo's on the left. And Diaz is on the right. And Darwin's for the middle. I just want Darwin on the pitch. Because when Darwin's on the pitch, history tells us we more often leave with the points than not. Did we walk out on Mbappe? No. And I will have more information on Mbappe at 8:30. I don't do the transfer stuff really at 4 o'clock. We try to just keep it to news. And then we do a transfer video, which will be coming out at about 6, half 6. And then we'll do the transfer stream tonight. But yes, there will be Mbappe talk today because there has been stuff happening with Mbappe. So Dominic SZOBOSZLAI wasn't in the training photos that came out. So that's a bit of a negative, I guess. But it is what it is. So we go through the information for Hendo and see exactly how he's going to leave Saudi and what's going to look like financially. So Jordan Henderson will apparently take a 75% pay cut in order to join Ajax as El Ettifaq idealed for 2 Liverpool players in the future, according to reports. Now, it's not going to shock you to find out that these 2 Liverpool players are Joel Matip and Thiago Alcantara, who will both be out of contract. So no real stress about that one. The England international swapped football at Anfield for a lucrative deal over in Saudi Pro League. Ben Jacobs has now revealed that Jordan Henderson will move to Ajax, taking a 75% pay cut. Henderson has already agreed terms with Ajax. Talk took place with Steven Gerrard and sporting director Mark Allen in Abu Dhabi before club president Samir Al-Misal, excuse me if I've mispronounced that, sanctioned the exit. Jordan Henderson is en route to the UK ahead of finalising a switch to Ajax. Key to the deal was Ettifaq softening their stance after meeting Henderson face to face. So you can interpret that how you want. I interpreted that Henderson started crying and they felt sorry for him. That's how I like to think it went. Jordan rocked up, tears, tissue in hand, and they felt sorry for him and go, oh, poor little Jordan. Okay, mate, you can go back to Europe. So there you go. That's where we're at with Henderson. He's going to be joining Ajax, although that's causing quite a stir over in the Netherlands. There's been some former Ajax and Dutch internationals who've been a little bit unpleased with the news that they're going to be signing Henderson and how much money they'll be paying him and whatnot. It is weird to think of him playing for Ajax, though, right? It's weird. It'd be a good club to have in your CV, in all fairness, no matter what. I guess no matter what stage Ajax are at now in their current situation, they are a fantastic club, you know. Certainly one of the most prominent clubs in European football with great history and stuff. And you just think you'll see up on the walls now, Johan Cruyff, Seedorf, Henderson. Rolls off the tongue, right? So there's more stuff around this, and it says it's complicated. Determination terms are still being finalised, but Jordan Henderson could owe the club even more money depending on how Ajax performs. This is in the form of an add-on that's on Jordan Henderson and not Ajax to pay depending on how the move goes. So I find that weird, by the way. So if Henderson does well at Ajax, he has to pay Saudi more money. If that's kind of where this is going, then where's the incentive for Henderson to do well? If you're Ajax, maybe, and you're hearing that Henderson has to pay money to El Ettifaq if he does well or makes appearances, it wouldn't fill me full of confidence. I've got to be honest with you. It's a weird add-on, not one I've ever really heard of before, but maybe you just got to get creative in these situations to find a way out that works for all parties. Is SZOBOSZLAI injured? Well, we know he's injured. That's a gimme. The question is, when is he going to be back? And as of yesterday's or today's photo, he wasn't pictured in training, so we don't know is the answer. We'll have to wait most likely till the press conference ahead of the Bournemouth game, which I think will be Friday. So we'll get more information from the manager then, but until then, I guess we'll just keep an eye on the training pictures. And over in Hungary during this break, he was interviewed and he did say, I think he won the Hungarian Sports Person of the Year, and then he said that if it's not going to be the Bournemouth game, which he'll be close for, it'll be the one after that. I think the feeling is that he wants to make sure he's 100% rather than coming back, maybe getting injured again, and then it being a longer period of time. Never understood why people from the top leagues went to Saudi. They weren't exactly tight for money before going. So, look, I get it. Same as I get it, people go to the MLS or, you know, I'll never judge a footballer at the end of their career going for a payday if that's what they are honest about. You know, and I've seen, I think Koulibaly and a few others have said it's about going there and getting a nice little earner before they finish up. Sound. That's, you know, everyone's entitled to do that in their life. And I'd like to think of my own life, if I had a chance for one big payday before I was looking to hang up my microphone or whatever, I'd take it. You know, so no problem with that. It's just when you pretend it for other reasons that it becomes a little bit tough for the rest of us to swallow. So, yeah, I'd never judge a player. And Henderson's in that age bracket. Like, if he had just said, I'm going to Saudi for the money, I think all of us would have went, all right, not great, Jordan, but fair enough. But it was just this pretense that he was going there to grow the game and all this other nonsense that none of us were ever really buying. For 350k a week, absolutely. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Exactly as Connor said there. I wouldn't judge anybody for that. And I'd have so much more respect if somebody came out and said, it's about the money. It's a lot of money. Have you seen the money? The money's great. Have I mentioned the money yet? Because the money's brilliant. That would be me, honestly. I'd be one of those people that would just say, yeah. Do you know what I mean? One article said he's shocked that it's so warm in Saudi. I mean, some of the articles are just hilarious, like stuff that we all know, let's be honest. Like, and look, these are, I don't want to even judge a country for their belief systems, because that's their own country, that's their own belief systems, and I'm not here to judge. But I am here to call out blatant hypocrisy and stupidity, and that's what wound me up about the Henderson situation in particular. Like, people said, why didn't I go off on Firmino or Fabinho? Well, because they just kind of exited door left, you know, and said nothing and just went off. They didn't profess that it was going to be to grow the game. We knew they were going for an earner. Fair enough. But Craig, you can't really say that nowadays. Say what? What can't I say, Mansour? And whatever it is I can't say, I think I've just said it. If you're talking about going for the money, of course you can. Why can't you say you're going for the money? Like, people are going to be more believable that you're going for the money than you're going for to grow the game. You know? Let's be honest, like, nobody's ever buying that. I mean, if we were 350k a week, we'd also go, absolutely. I'm not judging for going and taking the money. I've never judged them for taking the money. What else have we got? So the academy stuff. I did say I had a little bit on the academy. So you often hear, CIES Football Observatory being mentioned, and they were the ones who came up with this fantastic formula to say that somehow Marcus Rashford was worth more money than Kylian Mbappe by their calculations in the transfer market. Well, the boffins at the CIES Football Observatory have calculated that Liverpool have generated the 5th highest revenue from their academy among English clubs over the same period of the last decade. 171 million is the money that Liverpool's academy has brought in. And that sees them apparently just scrape into the overall top 20 in world football. I don't have the list of who is 1 to 19 on that list, but I don't know. How do we feel about that? Like, in one sense, 171 million over the last 10 years means that we've averaged 17.1 million from players who've come to our academy and money that Liverpool have received for them. So you would certainly say the academy's paying for itself, right? You know, that's at least what I take from that. Is there room for improvement there, maybe? I'd say so. But, like, look at this week as an example. We've sent Reece Williams back out on loan. Nat Phillips will go out on loan, and a few others. So there's some of these where, especially with Reece Williams, you think we could have probably moved them on a bit earlier and, you know, made those numbers a little bit higher perhaps. Paul Glatzel this week joining Swindon. But look, ultimately, I think that's okay. Top 5 in the Premier League for academy sales. I'm alright with that. Have you heard about the court commencing for City? Yeah, we touched on it yesterday, Daniel. I mean, it's news and it's kind of not news, if you get me. So yes, Richard Masters, the Premier League CEO, did say that a date has been set for the hearing of Manchester City, but refused to let the public or the hearing know what that date was. Apparently it's private because, you know, football, in particular the Premier League, seem to hate transparency of any form. So let's wait and see what happens. But it's kind of news, but not news. You know, the devil's always in the detail, right? imagine being City beating this case. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, I would, Danny. Seeing the information around it, that there'd be information that's been leaked and we've seen, or maybe some of us have read up on. I would be very surprised if they beat it. Now, do I think that they'll beat some of the charges? Yes, like in any case where you've got so many charges, proving 115 charges of anything against anybody is going to be difficult to do. So I expect they'll get off with some of them, but I can't see a world where they get off with all of it, mate. Not with some of the information out there. It's almost unquestionable that there was some shenanigans going on. Apart from the Prem, what trophy do I want this season? 100% the Europa League, if we're not talking about the Prem. Like, Premier League's the gold standard. Premier League's the daddy. But yeah, Europa League. And look, I'm probably a little bit extra biased on this one because the final's in Dublin. And the idea for me being able to look back in 10, 20 years' time and say, Liverpool lifted a European trophy in the city I was born in, I'd love that. And it would probably be the closest thing to a home final Liverpool would have without it being at Anfield. So, yeah, that would be amazing. We've done the SZOBOSZLAI update, Kwasi, but no problem to go back over it, my friend. Basically, he wasn't pictured in training photographs today. Just not that there's any new injury or anything like that. We're not trying to suggest that, but more so following on from what Dominic SZOBOSZLAI said in Hungary last week, that it'll be close for the Bournemouth game. And if it's not that, it'll be the next one. But his point is, he doesn't want to force it. He doesn't want to come back a week too early and then miss 3 or 4 more weeks. So if it's one more game, it's one more game, but we're close. And it feels really frustrating, Kwasi, at the minute, right? Because we've got Trent, 3 weeks close. Robbo, Costas getting close. Thiago getting close. SZOBOSZLAI getting close. It feels like we're nearly there. Liz said 115 charges. I hope 30% stand. That would do. 30% would still be a lot of charges, my friend. So yes, Liz, that would be great. And it's not the length of the grass as some City fans are trying to sell people. Most are cooking the books or doctoring the books. Oh yeah, like, don't be under any misconceptions that, like, when the Premier League say that this is far more complex than Nottingham Forest or Everton, they're not lying. It is far more complex, but it's also far more... What's the word I'm going to use here? Dodgy. Dodgy's the best word I can use. Like, Everton and Forest opened up the books, and yes, they were transparent. City have done everything they can to slow it down, to hide the details, to say things were leaked, to say these emails weren't true. Just, I say to people all the time, but watch the documentary. Excuse me, apologies about that. Britain's biggest football scandal, I think it is. It's on Netflix, or it's on YouTube. Watch that, it's free. And it spells out the whole thing, right from the Court of Arbitration for Sport case all the way up to the present day, pretty much. It's interesting viewing. And also, if you want more reading on it, do check out Der Spiegel. Just Google Der Spiegel leaks Manchester City and read through them as well. There is some stuff in there that is pretty black and white, like emails linking up things, admitting things, talking about certain things, money being rerouted, blah, blah, blah. They're basically accused of inflating sponsorship revenues where they're coming from other sources other than the ones that they're supposedly coming from, like Etihad, as an example. There's one email to say, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, that X amount will be paid by Etihad and the other, far more bigger chunk of it will be rerouted or will be paid by, you know, somebody in the royal family or whatever it is. It's shocking when you read through them. Nefarious, that's the word, Thurman. Nefarious, yes. This is why I need you guys to help me out, because my brain's going... I won't lie, this is what happened. My brain's thinking through all the words, and nefarious was the one I was probably looking for, but it was going through swear words in my brain. So I was like, no, I can't say that. That'll get me in trouble. Who's going to win the league? God, this is such a horrible question to answer, right? Because in my heart of hearts, if I had €1,000 on the table and my financial life depended on it, if I had to bet now, I would agree that City are favourites. I would agree with that statement that Manchester City are favourites. But what I would say is we can do it. We can do it. But like anybody who isn't Manchester City that's going to go and win a league, you'll still need some things to go in your favour. So we'll need referees to stop robbing us. That'll be first. That'll be nice, wouldn't it? So we need those shitty decisions to stop. We need a bit of luck with no more injuries. And look, you never say any game in its own is a title decider, but that game at Anfield is going to be huge. There's 2 games over the next couple of months that are going to decide our league campaign, in my opinion. Away against Arsenal and at home against Manchester City. Those are the games. Yes, we will probably drop points with a draw somewhere else, but if you beat City at Anfield, it allows you to drop a point or 2. It gives you that buffer because it's a 6-point game, really. So if we can get through these 2, I'd say if we draw one of them and win one of them, I'm going to be sitting here saying it's our league. Let's do it. Let's finish this. But I think for anybody to say at this point, you're 100% any team, whether it's Liverpool or City or Arsenal, going to win the league, it's a big shout to make, right? Because there's a lot of football still to be played and the league's close. But from a neutral's perspective on the outside, this is certainly setting up to be an intriguing Premier League campaign. One of the most probably closely fought ones between multiple clubs in recent history. So, yeah, isn't it better that we're having this conversation than City are 8-9 points clear already, or Arsenal are 11? Well, Arsenal 11 points clear. They probably still find a way to go full Arsenal, but thanks for answering my question. My pleasure. Away to United is important too. It is, Cody, but I feel like that game will almost sort itself out because Liverpool will want to make up for the horrendous performance at Anfield. So I feel like the players are going to be ready to go at Old Trafford. So I'm actually probably weirdly arrogant over that game. I feel like that's a gimme 3 points if we show up. Liverpool being more consistent this season gives us a lot of hope. Absolutely, Ben. But if you look at the first half of the season, the points total to top the league is not high. So I fully expect a better second half from a lot of teams, including us. So I think we'll be stronger. I think City will certainly come strong in the second half of the season. There was a lot of points dropped in the first half. And whether that's down to the competitiveness of the league, whether it's down to teams just being hot and cold, maybe, and dropping some silly points. But from our perspective, there's been 2 big moments, right? And look, I don't know if there's been big Man City moments or Arsenal moments, but I know there's been 2 big moments for Liverpool. The game at Spurs, where not only were we shafted out of a goal, but we conceded a very, very late, unfortunate own goal that won Spurs the game. And that was a big turnaround. So you had that moment, well, 2 moments in that game. And then you had the Arsenal game, where, you know, Odegaard's handball was a penalty. And look, you never say a penalty's a gimme goal, but, you know, certainly a good opportunity there for Liverpool to grab those 3 points. So that's either a 3-point or a 5-point swing, whichever way you look at those games going. And that feels harsh, because the only game we've lost was a game where we shouldn't have lost it. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have lost it because we played better. I'm saying we shouldn't have lost it because, well, we scored a goal and it was ruled out for no reason. Do I have a date for SZOBOSZLAI's return? Yes. It will either be Bournemouth or the next game. And I know that sounds like a short answer, but it's the truth. He said it himself. If he's not going to be ready for this game and it'll be close, it'll be the very next game. There's no extra injury that we're aware of, or no new setback or anything like that. So I wouldn't be concerned by it, at least not yet anyway. We haven't heard anything to the contrary. Luton and Brighton away, we should have won as well. Yeah, Luton we should have had another penalty, if my memory's right. A foul on Virgil van Dijk in that game. But look, do you know what really gets me? So we've got Bournemouth at the weekend, and we've just had Howard Webb talking about a handball we should have had for a penalty against Arsenal. So that they know they're making mistakes. And somehow the PGMOL think it's fair to once again put Paul Tierney in the VAR room for a game. And then you take that with the TNT Sports stuff, allegedly looking at taking the 12:30 of the March game after the international break and giving it to Liverpool as well. At what point are they going to stop giving us ammunition to feel like they're purposely trying to undermine Liverpool? And whether that's me being deluded or not, and I'm open to that possibility, they're certainly not making it easy for me to stop. Like, again, I would urge you to read the Tompkins Times article on Paul Tierney officiating Liverpool games or being involved in the officiating of Liverpool games. Have a little search of that yourselves and check it out. It's pretty transparent. So another one, Jordan Henderson offered himself apparently to Barcelona a few weeks ago. I wonder how that went. Right, so the academy stuff. Connor has very kindly sent me the league of the top 20 academies in football. So shall we go through them and see who tops the academy system? So at the very top of this list by the CIES Football Observatory is Benfica. Benfica have made the most money from their academy. Quick super chat. You're a big deal in Cape Town, 500k subs soon. Thank you so much. Mate, I got to get to Cape Town. My psychologist is from Cape Town. He's a South African man, and we're always talking about South Africa. And he's always giving me tips on where to go, and I've always wanted to visit. I think I've said this to you before, Macmillan. When I was a kid, I remember watching World's Strongest Man with my dad and seeing Sun City in South Africa, and just thinking, as a kid, I want to go there. I need to go there. And it's always stuck with me my whole life. So I would love to visit South Africa. I would absolutely love to do a meet and greet or a show or just a chat with Liverpool fans if I ever did as well, man. My pleasure. Look, I'm a simple dude. If anybody ever wants an Anfield Agenda show or anything in their part of the world, just hit me up. Help me out with the venue, sourcing, and we'll make it happen. It's that simple. That's why Boston's happening. And by the way, on Boston, don't forget, tickets are on sale. Ticketmaster.com if you're in that neck of the woods. Right, anyway, back to this. So the academy list. Benfica are top of the pile. They've raised the most money with 516 million. 516 million quid they've raised in the last decade through their academy. 500 million. Now that's how you run an academy, my friends. That is a lot of money. Second on the list are Jordan Henderson's new club, or proposed new club, Ajax, with 376 million. The third one, I gotta say, really surprised me. It surprised me, I gotta be honest. Olympique Lyonnais, so Lyon, third on the list. Fourth, Real Madrid. Real Madrid have brought in 364 million, which is just a little bit behind Lyon's 370 million. Chelsea come in next on the list with 347 million, so the first of the English clubs there to make that list. That doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Chelsea's academy has always done well with player sales. Then Monaco, 325 million. Sporting Lisbon come in there, 306. Spurs are the second of the English academies to come on this list. Spurs have made 256. So already from 1 to, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From 1 to 8, we've seen a drop off from 500 million to 250 million. So you can see how far ahead Benfica's academy system has been there. Manchester City are next on the list with £254 million. Atalanta of Italy next, 250. Salzburg, Eindhoven, Flamengo of Brazil, they're in there. River Plate of Argentina, 223 million. FC Porto, 221. Then Real Sociedad, Bayer Leverkusen, Paris Saint-Germain, Aston Villa, and then Liverpool just about scraping in with just under 200 mil. So that is the top 20 of the academies in world football and how much money their academy systems have produced in sales over the last 10 years. And again, full information from the CIES Football Observatory. Is that Boston in USA? Oh yes, Paul. Oh yes. It is indeed Boston in USA, mate. It is right. And do you know what? Not just is it Boston, dude. It is right beside Fenway Park. So the venue that we're doing the show in is the House of Blues in the Foundation Room, which is the smaller room in that building. And it's right across from Fenway Park. You could literally hit Fenway Park with, well, I'd say hit it with a stone, but you don't want to be throwing stones at it. So yeah, it is that one. And yeah, 22nd of March, cannot wait. It's coming up quickly. Just over 2 months to go. So yes, man, it is that one. And very proud to be doing it as well. FFP came in for Newcastle, let's be honest. I think yes and no. So I think FFP came in to kind of try and shut the door after Chelsea and Manchester City and the way their ownership groups over the years have found ways. So I think when they gave the go-ahead for Newcastle to be taken over, I would certainly say that, yeah, it was part of the plan. But look, to give credit to Newcastle, they haven't taken the proverbial. I think Newcastle have tried to do things straightforward within their means. I can't say anything to the contrary because I feel like Newcastle have not taken the piss. What academy player do you wish we'd kept? Sterling. Now, okay, Sterling came into the academy after leaving, I think, QPR. But yeah, that would have been the one. When Raheem Sterling was breaking through, because remember he had that run in the FA Cup, the Youth FA Cup, where he was just scoring a ton of goals as well. When he broke through, and we had that season with Sturridge, Suarez, and Sterling. Oh, lads. I very weirdly remember him being at the top of my landings, up at the top of the stairs, and just thought about Raheem Sterling being a Liverpool legend in the future, and I was convinced. And I was convinced he was here for the long term as well. So yeah, probably would have been Sterling. Although, if you're talking about players who aren't still playing football, then Gerrard. Linda, how are you, my friend? Welcome in. I'd keep Nico Williams. He was a quality player and he would allow us to put Trent in midfield. I think we had to sell Nico Williams, though, for his own sake. Because at the time, remember, we hadn't seen the hybrid role from Trent. So that we still just thought of Trent as a right back. But yeah, Nico Williams, I think Nico Williams is one of the success stories, if I'm being honest with you. I'm really happy for him. Because you're right, he's always been a good footballer. And he probably could have stuck around and had an impact at Liverpool. But, you want these lads to play football. And he's playing football in the Premier League and with, the Welsh national team. So fair play to him. Would I take a Premier League win as it is, or City being relegated? I'd always say a Premier League win, because I want to focus on Liverpool. So what happens with City will happen. We can't control that. But us winning another Premier League. Look, I want Klopp to leave with as many trophies in the cabinet, by the time he decides to call it a day as Liverpool manager. So the more of them we can gather over the next 2.5 years, the better his legacy. And I want Klopp's legacy to be amazing, or as good as it can be. So, and the players that we have as well. We have a special group. Can I get a hold that to Henderson? What a disgrace. Also, we need to make at least 2 signings. We've done the Henderson stuff, and look, my only thing about it was, like I said many times, don't look us in the eye and lie to us and say why you're moving is that to do with growing the game. Just say it was about the money, dude. And do you know what I mean? Just say it's about the money. The 2 signings, I don't know what to expect in this month. And look, the journals have been speaking about the transfer window a little bit as well, and it has been a strange one. So Miguel Delaney, who I think is an extremely good journalist, by the way, not just because he's Irish, but doesn't hurt that he's Irish. He said Premier League clubs have spent less than 10% of what they did at this stage of last year's window and half of 2022. And he goes on to list a few reasons that I'll talk about in a second, but that is a mad stat. That at this time last year, they had spent 90% more than we've spent than the Premier League has spent in this window. Now, we said coming into this window, and the journalists reported it many times, in fairness to them, that it's going to be a strange window. The Premier League clubs will look to do some loan deals or be, creative because of these factors. And the first one he lists is profit and sustainability, of course. Then the Everton deterrent. So what happened to them being a deterrent? High prices, and that's true as well. How sustainable are some of these transfer prices that we're seeing over recent years. Fewer Saudi Pro League spaces, although that could change. At the moment, 8 foreign players allowed at each club. I think they're looking to raise that to 10. And then everybody believes that the bottom 3 will go down, so there's less pressure on other clubs to stay up. Again, that's probably a fair statement. So if you're 16th, 15th, 17th, you're probably looking below you and going, they're screwed. So all fair points, I think, raised there by Miguel Delaney. How long before Klopp leaves? Well, he's scheduled to go at the end of the 26th season. So 2.5 more years. But look, we all hope, don't we, Linda? We all hope that there's another extension there. Sure, remember Beckham said the same about growing the game in America. At the end of the day, it was about his missus wanting to move to LA. So the Beckham one was actually really interesting, that deal, because not only did they have the fact that he was going to LA Galaxy and obviously going to earn a good wage over there, and look, he did help grow the league. The Beckham and the Messi factor, they're huge in the MLS. But also Beckham was given the ability or the right to buy a franchise, and I don't like to use that word, but that's how they're used, in the future. And I think that was the real selling point to David Beckham. Because look now, he's got Inter Miami. He's part of the ownership group there, who have Messi and Suarez and Alaba and Busquets and, some pretty big names there, which have certainly given Inter Miami a brilliant start to their few years as a club. Laser Sharp said Gonzalo Inacio would be a great signing. Yeah, he would. So would Levi Colwill, though. Laser Sharp. So would Levi Colwill. And if we're talking, 60 million euro for Inacio, I don't know. I'd see what Chelsea want for Colwill, or see if Chelsea will listen to offers for Colwill. That article yesterday, maybe wrongly, but it gave me a little bit of hope to say that Liverpool are looking at Chelsea's situation and seeing how desperate they're going to get maybe to have to free up money to try and bring in a striker or whatever. So they're trying to sell Conor Gallagher, but, why can't maybe, if they're offering or open to an offer on one academy product, why not try with Colwill and see if they'll listen? What else we got? Imagine if we got Ancelotti instead of Klopp. I think we'd have still done well. I think Carlo Ancelotti's an incredible coach. He's the daddy when it comes to, European Cups and stuff achieved with multiple clubs and over a long period of time. Look, I'll never disrespect Carlo Ancelotti. I think he's a great man. I think he's an absolutely incredible coach. But for us, the better fit was Jurgen. It was. Especially with what we needed. We needed somebody full of energy to drag the club to that next level. And Klopp brought that. So, yeah, look, they were 2 great coaches. And if you ended up with either one of them, you're doing all right. But we got the right one. Heard we had a secret meeting with Mbappe. That's a 8:30 conversation, my friend. I'm being very regimented. Inside here, I'm screaming to talk about transfers, folks. I am. But with 4 o'clock news shows, 8:30 transfer shows, and I'm being very strict with myself over that. Ancelotti to Liverpool after Klopp. I think he's talking about hanging up his managerial boots after a situation with Real Lens. Yeah, look, I'm scared to think about life after Klopp. I don't want to think, because whoever it is, they're going to be, it's like United finding a new coach after Ferguson. Whoever that next one was, the odds are it wasn't going to work out. because, you know, you big shoes to fill, and it's going to take a big character to be able to come in and stamp it. Now, I think Xavi Alonso could be that man. I really think he has the gravitas to come in after Jurgen and instantly win people over. Fans, players, I mean, media. I think, yeah, Alonso would be the right type of character, I think, to look towards after Jurgen. But 2.5 years is a really long time in football, and you never know who's going to be hot managerial property at that point. Like, what happens with Guardiola at City? You know, does somebody come into the league to take over from him? Xavi right now at Barcelona, he's under all kinds of pressure. There's loads of talk he's going to get the boo. De Zerbi has to be next, if not Xavi. I don't know why, Clay. I don't know why, mate, but I've always felt he's destined for Man City or Barcelona after Brighton. And there's nothing to show that that's nailed on. I've not got any info on it. Just gut feeling has always told me that he'll end up at City or Barca, because I think he suits the style of the way they'd like to play. Any update on Mantilla? Is he's the Colombian centre-back? Am I correct? No, nothing over the last few days, other than there's talk to say Liverpool have held conversations with the club in Colombia, Talaresh Cordoba, is it? Or CD Talaresh? But we aren't the only ones. Also in Brighton, we're looking. And the problem, on top of obviously coming to an agreement with the club, would be to make sure that you can sort the work permit. Sven to manage the Legends match. Well, Robbie Fowler said that a call had gone in, so I hope that it works out. It's a beautiful gesture, and well done to Douglas for coming up with the idea. Shout out Doug, the Dugout Football channel, YouTube channel. Yeah, great idea. Love that Gibbo from the Anfield rap. Thought it was a good idea and helped push it as well. It's just it's a classy touch. It's a nice gesture for somebody who is a Liverpool fan, and obviously with the sad situation with Sven, it would be a nice gesture, and I hope it happens. Big Ange is a Liverpool fan. I know. Let's be honest. Big Ange football I could get on board with. I could. You know. And I like Big Ange as well. Big Ange is, apart from being a Liverpool fan, he's a you know, simple, talk no crap, say it as he sees it. He's a proper lad. I really, really like Ange Postecoglou as a fella. And I'd say to play from as a manager, like Jurgen, I say you'd run through a brick wall for that man. I think he could inspire you, absolutely. Your daily SZOBOSZLAI lover said, is Ousmane Diomande a kid that we're looking at? Yes, we are looking at him. We're looking at both the centre-backs at Sporting. The problem with Diomande is that he has a higher release clause than Inacio. Off the top of my head, I think it's 70 million euro. But I know it's certainly higher than the one that Gonzalo Inacio has. But yes, we're looked at both of them. I think, is it the Ivory Coast Diomande plays? I know he's at the AFCON at the moment. But yeah, we've looked at the two of them. That's all I can say. Whether one's likely, don't know. I thought it was Leo's goals. No, it was Doug. He did an interview on Sky about it as well. Now maybe Doug asked Leo to help publicise it a bit. That could have happened, and you know, it is very much the kind of positive, lovely thing that Leo, you know, would be on board with, because he's a lovely, positive guy. But look, whoever it is, whether it was Leo, whether it was Doug, fair play. It's just a beautiful idea, and that's what makes our fan base the great group it is. You know, there are some good-hearted, forward-thinking people in there who try to make these type of things happen. You said Ali is your current favourite Liverpool player and Bobby was the past one. So, all-time, who ranks higher? Well, all-time, Robbie Fowler is my number one. Robbie Fowler is the one. Of the Klopp era, it's Bobby. I'm looking at him right now. They're painting over my wall. But who'd hire between Bobby and Alisson? Bobby. Because, like I've said about Salah, as much as I love Mo and as much as I love Alisson, they're almost too perfect, if you get me, as human beings. Whereas Bobby had that little streak of flaw in him, and that drew me to him. Same as Ronnie O'Sullivan. That's why I'd be drawn to the likes of Ronnie O'Sullivan. But yeah, Bobby. I love Bobby. How many points will we need to win the Prem? Below 90. Yes, I think below 90 is a good shout. I think if you get 86 to 88 points, I think you win the Premier League this year with that. Which is, it's actually kind of normal, but it's not normal over the last 6 or 7 years. So yeah, I think that's probably somewhere about where we'll see the league end up. Might go to 90, but I don't think you'll be seeing a 97s, 96s, something like that. Agree on Bobby, his goal gesture with his eye situation. What was that? I don't remember. I mean, I can't remember why the hand over the eye thing. Don't know. I can't remember. Why is SZOBOSZLAI not in training today? Because he's injured. Like, nothing has changed from him being injured. The only question was, will the injury be cleared up before the Bournemouth game? And the answer was always, it'll be close. So I wouldn't worry about it any more than maybe we worried about it yesterday. It's just a wait and see thing, and if it's not this week, it'll be the next game. I wouldn't stress about it. He's really close. Do you mean say if Jota starts over Darwin? Or Cody? I think you meant Cody. If Cody starts over Darwin, we'll always be struggling at half time. Darwin needs to start every game for me with Jota and Diaz. Kind of what I said, right? Diaz on the right, Darwin on the left, Jota through the centre, or Gakpo. But I think while Mo's away, Diaz has to shift to the right for me in order to allow Darwin to play on the left. Do you think we will have a bad run of form because of injuries to international duties? Okay, I kind of feel like we had our bad run of form. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but it feels to me like we had that bit of a crappy run. Where we had a few draws, then the United game, and then the Arsenal game. So, if we can cut out the draws, look at it this way. You're probably better off losing a game. You're certainly better off losing a game than drawing two. So, think of it that way. Maybe we need to be a bit more risky, or take a bit more of a chance in certain games. Look, none of us can predict what's going to happen between now and the end of the season, but we know we're back from this week playing football again, and then we've got the game midweek coming up against Fulham, second leg of the semi-final. Then we've got, what's the game next? Then the FA Cup game coming up after that. Then it's Chelsea. So the games are going to come thick and fast. So I'm excited because we're going to have a rested and fresh Robbo. We're going to have Costas, who's had a bit of a break. Trent, who's had an injury, but also a break. We're going to have Thiago coming back if he's fit. SZOBOSZLAI to come back in. So we're going to have players who won't be as fatigued. So if there's any positive to be taken from some of these injuries, it's like we've heard about with De Bruyne and Haaland for Manchester City. Because I've heard that a lot, by the way. With City, it's De Bruyne and Haaland are coming back in. They're rested. Manchester City are going to be brilliant second half of the season. But with Liverpool, there's been no talk of that in the media, which I find weird. Like, Andy Robertson coming back will push Liverpool on, or Trent having a 3-week break will push us on. None of that stuff apparently is out there in the media. So don't forget it, as a Liverpool fan, that yes, they have players come back, but so do we. Who's your favourite player from any other club that you would wish played for Liverpool? Well, the answer is De Bruyne, most likely. I wouldn't say he's my favourite, but if you wanted to bring a player and drop him into Liverpool, I know his age is going against him, but he's a game changer. He's incredible. It was, probably him. He's just the closest thing to Steven Gerrard I've ever seen. He's a phenomenal footballer. I don't think Robertson has the same effect as De Bruyne. Did I say he did? Did I compare him? I just said we have players coming back. So, while he might not have the same effect as De Bruyne, he'll give us a better attacking threat than Gomez. He'll give us more options. Mo coming back from the AFCON is going to give us another push. With Toro being on form like he was before he left for the Asia Cup. I'm not trying to say any one thing will make that much of a difference, but I think people are also assuming that De Bruyne is not going to have another injury between now and the end of the season, and I wouldn't be very confident of that. I think he'll have to be managed for the remainder of the campaign, and yeah, let's wait and see. Who will be the Prem's top scorer? Haaland or Son will be my guess. I think Aït-Nouri's a good deal than Robinson because he's young. So we talked about Aït-Nouri yesterday, and what I'd like about Aït-Nouri is, for me, I'd bring him in and sell Costas. Sounds ruthless, I know, and I don't, I've nothing but respect for Costas, but I don't see Costas taking over from Andy Robertson, and that has to be the goal. When Rob hangs up his boots, it should be whoever's there next to take that role, and I don't see Costas ever being ready for that. So, Aït-Nouri being, 22? If he's the better fit, so be it. But ultimately, I think we do need to look at the longer-term succession planning for Robbo there. Now, it could be Chambers, could be Beck. Interesting thing on Beck, actually. Brendan Rodgers very interested, according to reports, of taking him up to Celtic. But if Beck so much as kicks a football for Liverpool in a match, then that's off the table until next season, because you can't play for 3 clubs in one campaign. So Liverpool would have to not utilise Beck, and then they could loan him to Celtic. Excuse me, bit of a hiccup. Hakimi to Liverpool. No. Stop. No Hakimi to Liverpool. Nobody that's put on a PSG jersey near Liverpool, thank you. Dom is third in counter pressures in 90 minutes in the Big 5 leagues. That's why we wanted him so much. There's loads of attributes of SZOBOSZLAI that... The scary about Dom is how young he is as well. There's a long way still to go. Do you think Mbappe replaces Núñez? No. If Mbappe comes in to replace anybody, you know who it's going to be. You don't need me to say it out loud. But I'm also hanging off till the 8:30 show to talk about Mbappe and transfers, because, well, there's some stuff coming out today that makes it interesting. Someone say we can't afford Mbappe. That's simply untrue. We can. And look, I'm not saying it's happening. Don't take me up as that. But to say we can't afford him, it's not true. There's been people far, far better than myself with footballing numbers who have been able to show why and how it is possible for Liverpool to sign Kylian Mbappe. Again, not trying to say it's likely, but it's possible, and we can afford it. After the Bellingham situation, I don't have hope. I don't blame you. I've no pushback on that, mate. I'm not trying to give anybody hope. I've tried to be honest with the whole Mbappe stuff and say Real Madrid is the most likely option. It is. But we are, in my opinion, and probably in the opinion of others, certainly one of the best, if not the best of the rest, if that doesn't work out. Darwin, most assists for the Premier League, your thoughts? Look, anything that shines a positive light on Darwin Núñez, I'm here for. Because that's what he needs. He needs confidence, he needs the belief, and he needs to be shown that, okay, you might be missing some sitters, mate, but you're still impacting the games in a positive way. As Jurgen has said, what he does allows the others to have space and do things. So just keep sticking with him, because, he's frustrating and we'll all shout and scream at him at some points. But there's a lot of good stuff that maybe isn't as easily measured or as easy to see. But he does. I think the biggest stat of all of this is the one that shows that when he plays, we do better. LeBron James in a position to persuade Kylian Mbappe to sign for Liverpool to laser sharp. Again, what you've said there is true. But also, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. But there are things that could make it possible, as we've talked about before. So let me say this to you. And I'm just throwing this out there because it just popped into my head this second. Do you guys remember how LeBron ended up with shares in FSG, or initially Liverpool? It was a part of an overall deal that he did with FSG that I think involved some of his image rights and some other stuff. Now, I'm just putting this out there. What's to say that a similar offer isn't put to Mbappe? Because think about it. Every footballer and sports person thinks bigger picture, end of their campaign, later life. And LeBron has interest now in a lot of different things. And he'll probably become part of an ownership group of an NBA team with FSG at some point. Who's to say that there isn't a similar potential for a deal with Mbappe there, where in the future FSG give him a little piece of that NBA team that they're going to be part of a group buying with probably Vegas by the looks of it. So between LeBron, Nike, FSG, all this stuff, there are creative ways to soften the financial blow for now or whatever. And if something like this ever happens, I would imagine that there will be something that isn't the norm in a transfer. You're saying shares in FSG, well, they did it with LeBron. And that's, we can't debate that. That's just a fact. And watch this end up in an article somewhere. Watch it. And watch me not get credited for it. But that's the norm for Anfield Agenda, unfortunately. I'd almost be shocked if this doesn't somehow make its way, get clipped, and a journalist or somebody writes this as an option now in the next few days. And I'll be honest with you, I just thought of that on the spot. Because somebody brought up LeBron and it just kind of clicked in my head and I thought, oh, well, maybe. And it could just be waffle. But, sometimes that's the way you have to try and think of these things, right? Is there going to be a creative way the club could make it happen? That's been said years ago. It didn't come from you. Has it? Show me it. Robert, feel free, mate. Show me it. Because I've not seen it written in any of the articles linking us to Mbappe at all recently. And if it was said years ago and it was so obvious, I know more about this Mbappe situation than a lot of people. Not that I know what he's going to do. I don't. But remember, I've been on the money with what I've said about Mbappe and reminding people of the flight that he took with FSG's president or with John W. Henry and tried to convince him. I told you that we kept talking to Mbappe over the last 5-6 years. I told you stuff that is now being used by journalists again because it wasn't mentioned. Now, I don't know why you feel the need to try and say, oh, Craig, that's not you, that's somebody else, but whatever. I'm just trying to explain to you why it's possible. That's all, my man. I'm not trying to make out like I'm a genius. I'm just saying that people are too quick to say that Liverpool can't do it. Robert, that's kind of where I'm going with it, mate. Every day I get the lazy response of, Liverpool can't do it. Liverpool can't afford Mbappe. Liverpool can't do this. You can do anything. If PSG can afford to give him 100 million a year, there's ways for anybody to afford anything. And we're not, whatever we think about our owners, they have their fingers in many, many pies. And they are very well connected throughout the world of sport and investment funds. And they've got great commercial relationships. And obviously we have now a relationship with Nike, LeBron. You know, so anything's possible. And I would expect, like, look at it, the PSG offer to Mbappe that we heard about yesterday. 100 million a season. The agency help for his mum to set up that agency she wants to do. Pathway for his brother. And a few other little bits and pieces, you know, to kind of sprinkle a bit of magic dust on top of the cake. That's what it takes for the big guys. That's what it takes to get yourself a superstar. I understand, but any top player would go to Madrid. Again, 100% with you on that, Robert. Madrid's the likely option, but not the only option. And I don't know what else to say, my man. But also Madrid don't have a never-ending supply of cash either. And they've spent a lot. They're paying out a lot. They've got Bellingham's wage, Rodrigo on a new deal, they've Vinny Jr., Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga. They're going to bring in Endrick. And if they brought in Mbappe, like, there's a lot of money in and out there as well. And Real Madrid have to be able to continuously pay this out all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't say I don't like Liverpool being linked with Mbappe. It makes me smile. So Jurgen Klopp said there are 3 clubs in world football who can do whatever they want. Which clubs do you think they are? PSG, Manchester City, and Real Madrid would be my guess. But they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, so they naturally make more money. Have you looked at the finances, mate? They haven't made a lot more than Liverpool. Again, I'm not trying to big us up, but they are probably the biggest club in the world, in fairness to them. It's, you know, you say them or Manchester United would probably be the 2 biggest supported or followed football clubs in the world. Real Madrid are a financial juggernaut, absolutely, but, you know, it's not that long ago that they were in trouble financially. It didn't get as much publicity as the Barcelona stuff, but there's been a lot of borrowings and stuff there as well, so they don't have a never-ending amount of it. And we don't know what's going to happen with the Super League project in Real Madrid. We don't know if they run off. Let's say the Super League in some form comes to fruition, and Real Madrid and Barcelona and a couple of others join this league. There's going to be sanctions and stuff that will come in against the players that will probably stop them playing for their countries. So these are all decisions you've got to weigh up when you're a footballer and you're looking at your options. So let me just say this. Madrid, or Mbappe, has the balls of most of football in his hand. And depending on which ones he wants to squeeze, you know, he's got a very enviable position of being able to pick any club he wants to play for in the world at this moment in time. And if he so wished, Kylian Mbappe could sign for, I don't know, Tranmere Rovers on 500 quid a week if he wanted to. That's an enviable position. And the fact that we're in the conversation for this guy, I find it at least good to see Liverpool's names in the headlines being linked with those type of players. Hello, I heard my teammate Kanade talking to Klopp about Kone. I think we might be signing him. Thank you, Jarrell. Kone is an interesting one because he's still at Borussia Mönchengladbach. I just don't know if we have a need for another midfielder at the minute. I'd actually go as far as to say I think we're all right. Craig mentioned Tranmere. No, I live near them. Just made my jaw drop. I've always had a soft spot for Tranmere, to be fair, because I went there as a kid with my football team to watch a game when Aldo was manager, and I think you've always had a soft spot for them, don't you? As a Liverpool fan as well, and the Aldridge connection, I've always had a soft spot for Tranmere, and I've known people who've worked with Tranmere on a voluntary basis behind the scenes, and they're just a good club. Any news on Andre? Not really, mate, unfortunately, other than what we spoke about yesterday. So look, I'm going to leg it and get ready for 8:30 and get you more Mbappe stories and actual transfer talk that we have on the back burner. So don't forget to join us at 8:30. If you haven't already subscribed to the Clips channel, my friends, give it a search, Anfield Agenda Clips. And keep an eye out for the transfer video, which will be dropping in about an hour. So I will chat to you then. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Appreciate your time as always.